Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this session of InfoWare webinar series. Please kindly confirm on the Q&A session that you can hear me. So we'll be using the Q&A session for all questions and answers. So if you have any inquiries, please use the Q&A session. So we'll officially start. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sandra Williams. I'm the Customer Relationship Manager in InfoWare. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this unique gathering, which brings together key representatives from the financial sectors, standard setting bodies, multilateral organizations, and institutional investors on this most timely topic, which is bringing in the next 2 million investors using derivative to trade liquidity. So I'll just quickly say that again. So today's topic is bringing in the next 2 million investors using derivative to trade liquidity. So this is the first in the series of events that will focus on derivative trading from different perspectives. So today on this special edition, we'll give you an expository demonstration of the NGS derivative opportunities and how InfoWare has gone ahead to scale its platform in readiness to trade the derivative. We'll also show you how regulation is positively affecting the trading environment in the Nigerian market. So one of the most interesting and most challenging aspects of trading is the risk that is involved in the market. So implementing a risk management plan, considering the various potential risks or events before they actually occur, saves an organization a huge ton of money over time and reduces the amount of risks that they would encounter. So InfoWare robust risk management model, we help fund managers configure various matrices and establish procedures to avoid potential risks and minimize the impact of these risks over time. So I'll quickly go ahead to highlight some of the capabilities of the InfoWare ERP. So the InfoWare OEMS has established an unparalleled reputation in the market in continually providing the basic tools with zero extra cost to technological capabilities required to meet the ever-changing need of the business environment. So technology is a key part in the industry, and as such, with zero cost, like I earlier mentioned, InfoWare has tuned its business to accommodate that. Then also, to create an access to the market, InfoWare has reinforced its retail strategy by creating web and mobile channels that are very, very easy to use. So these web and mobile channels can easily help you simulate your investment, thereby reducing the amount of risks that you encounter in the market before you even trade or before your customers tend to trade in the market. So to create this awareness in the market, this edition will actually open discussion on how market players such as fund administrators, investment managers, asset managers itself, and even institutional investors can leverage InfoWare's experience and platform to gain competitive advantage in the market. So in the retail space in general. So our goal today is moving into our team, the InfoWare Edge, how InfoWare has gone ahead to scale its platform to trade derivative. So every one of us right now, we are bringing different perspectives, different views of what the derivative market looks like. So today we'll be able to bring in together those perspectives and also see how InfoWare can help us to scale our own business in readiness to trade the derivative market. So once again, welcome to this edition of the October edition of the InfoWare CEO Breakfast Meeting. Please, if you have any question, kindly use the Q&A and we'll take it after this session. So each of the panelists are going to come up to give us a presentation of what they have separately. And please, when you have questions, like I mentioned, use the Q&A and it will be taken. So first on our list as a panelist is Mr. Uwagbonile. He is the Chief Software Architect and CEO of Infoware. He has been in the industry for over 20 years and is a major key player in the industry. Mr. Uwagbonile, please kindly confirm that you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for the introduction.
Okay, so Mr. Uwagbonile will be taking us through introduction of NGX derivatives, various market trends over time. He will be speaking about free resource on the VAR and just give us an insight, a short insight into what Infoware is preparing for the market over time. Over to you, Mr. Uwa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sandra. Thanks for the introduction. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to attend this session this morning. I know it's always a busy time for everybody, and Friday is also especially busy. So we'll try and get into this as quickly as possible and to get everybody on board. So this session, as Sandra has said, is all about bringing in the next 2 million investors and also how we use derivatives to drive liquidity and assist in doing or achieving that objective of bringing in 2 million new investors. So the first thing would be, okay, what exactly is derivatives? So there's a lot of angst in the market, and we understand that in the ecosystem about what derivatives sound. It sounds complicated, and people tend to be kind of worried about exactly what it means and what it's going to do and all that kind of stuff. So let's just break it down in a very, very simple manner, right? So derivatives, right? It's really a simple thing. Let me transfer here. Can set my camera. Oh, my video is not coming on, so let me just continue. So what exactly, I'll start with the use of derivatives and explain a little bit about derivatives. So for one thing, right, derivatives is really, is meant for hedging risk a lot of time. And it enhances market efficiency. And one of the ways it does that is that it can let you mitigate risk. So I'll go back to that in a moment, but let me explain what exactly is derivatives in a very, very simple time. So derivatives have actually been with us for hundreds of years. And even right here in Nigeria, you'd be surprised, our own great grandfathers have used it. We just didn't call it derivatives. So let me give you an example. Say a cassava farmer, either now or back then, it doesn't matter when. Somebody farms cassava, right? And cassava ultimately transforms into gari. And there's somebody that makes gari. Chances are usually it's not the person that's farming the cassava that's making the gari. Agreed? Okay. So now the gari maker knows that he needs to make enough gari and then sell in the market. And to make enough gari, he needs a certain number of tubers of cassava. Agreed? Now, so he goes to the farmer and says, okay, you know what, Mr. Farmer, I'm going to buy your cassava when you make it, when it's ready. So that he's trying to guarantee a supply to make sure, because a lot of times it could be a competitive environment, right? So he wants to make sure he has enough gari or enough supply to be able to produce the gari he needs to go and sell, from an economic standpoint. Now, from the farmer standpoint, the question is, how much cassava does the farmer go out to plant and produce? Well, unless it's just guessing, but if he knows that there's somebody that's going to take that cassava the cassava tubers from him when it's done, then he has a much better guarantee about what he's going to do. Now, a lot of the time too, they come to some sort of arrangement, and he tells the farmer, you know what, I'm going to buy either X number of tons or X number of tubers of cassava from you at this point in time. And they may even agree on the price at that point. And that is why it's called futures, right? So what just happened is a futures contract. It's a derivative, right? They just made an agreement on an underlying asset. The underlying asset is the tubers of cassava. That is derivative. So it's always been with us. So what it's come to do in the modern world, in the NGX, is that, look, the equities in the exchange, they are the instruments, they are the underlying assets. So now, let me give you an example of how that's used in a practical manner for hedging risk. Say a pension fund or an asset manager. So pension funds have been worried about, okay, you know what, equities are volatile. You buy into equities and all of a sudden it goes down, then I check my valuation is down and I look bad. Well, with derivatives, you can mitigate that. So what you do is that, let's say you bought some NTN, some GTCO, or some whatever it is, some assets, and you're potentially worried about that asset going down in price for short periods of time or whatever. What you do is you purchase a derivative in the short position or in the opposite direction of that thing, such that if the price goes down, then the derivative that you bought actually goes up. And then it can offset your losses and your portfolio is still balanced, right? But if your price goes up, right, of your underlying asset, well, you don't really care. You make some losses of that derivative, but you're still way ahead of the curve. So in that case, you're using derivative literally like an insurance, right? And of course, when that happens, then there's now much improved liquidity. And this is where the 2 million investors come in. If there's improved liquidity, the regular investor is more willing to participate in the market because they know that when they want to buy and sell, there's usually the opposite of buyer or seller on the other end of it. So it's an entire ecosystem. So that's just a quick brief on derivative. I want to spend some time there explaining and making sure that we're all on the same page so that as we move ahead, you know, it's clear out exactly how this thing is going to play out. Okay. Now, so the next thing I'm going to talk about now is this is the platform that InfoWare has introduced into the ecosystem. We call it EDIA, right? Register and trade in 60 seconds, and I'm bringing it next to 2 million investors. So let me just explain a little bit, spend about a few seconds explaining the EDIA concept. So what EDIA represents the ultimate actually in technology, and the rationale is simple. I think everybody here, especially Nigerians, will understand EDIA. EDIA was used as a first start mask in the 1977 thereabouts. However, EDIA is the queen mother. It's an ancient queen mother in Benin several hundred years ago. At that point in time when EDIA existed, back then, the Kingdom of Benin had street lights. It had meteorology working. When Western Europe, where Britain currently is, did not have that at all. Meaning, back then, we were actually ahead. We're ahead of in technology. Then, of course, you guys will know that it's in the Guinness Book of Records that the Great Benin Wall actually exceeds, and when it was measured from space, it exceeds the Great Wall of China. So we've always had technology. We may not have well documented it, but we've always had it. So this technology we're introducing represents that is the pinnacle of technology. And we're not talking about technology just for, you know, sometimes when we talk Africa, it's like you're getting secondhand or something like that. No, this will meet and exceed anything you see out there. How does it do that? So let's do a quick walkthrough about how that happens. Okay, so first of all, before we jump into that, a few things I want to kind of get into. You know, it has to do with certain myths that exist about our capital market, about our investment ecosystem in Nigeria, maybe in Africa in general, but especially in Nigeria. So here are some of those myths. One, that Nigerian investors are risk adverse. They don't like risk. They just want the safe thing. They just want to buy something that's only going to go up. And therefore, because the capital market has gyrations, they don't want to touch it. Is that true or is that not true? We'll see in a minute. That there are not, second myth, that there are not enough investors with disposable income to invest. You know, they say there's not enough middle class. First of all, this myth is kind of ridiculous because NTN broke through that like crazy. It's several years ago when the Western world thought, okay, you know what, there are probably going to be 100, 200,000 phone subscribers. MTN came and there was 1 year in which they reported $1 billion in profit. I believe it was profit, not even revenue, right? So that thing is really not true. But we'll see exactly the reason they mean. Then another one is that in other investment options are better than Nigerian capital market. Well, that's another myth. Now, is that true? Okay, so let's look at the results. Well, that Nigerians are risk adverse. Nigeria is the second largest market for crypto worldwide. And crypto is the riskiest asset that currently exists. If you go and look at the chart, the gyrations over the last couple of years compared to what the Nigerian stock market looks flat, like a calm water compared to what crypto is. And meanwhile, there are Nigerians trading crypto. FX, they trade FX, and FX is one of the most risky assets. I actually think trading FX is a little bit like a riding against or swimming against the stream, because you know there are thousands of supercomputers on the other side of the equation that's betting against people trading FX. Most people never win in FX. So another one is that so if you look in terms of in number of investors with disposable income, a number of fintechs have just proven that wrong in the last few couple of years or so. The fintechs have generated nearly 1 million additional users on their platforms. Meanwhile, within the NGX, we have just approximately 50 to 100,000 people trading. So yeah, it's not that people don't have enough disposable income. There's something that's going on. Then Nigeria, then the last one, that other investment options are better. That's just not true. If you search on Google for, there's a Bloomberg article, and FDC in Nigeria here have proven that Nigeria was the best performing market in 2020 worldwide. It beat all asset classes, and I believe including crypto. So those myths are just myths. They're not real, right? Okay. So the 2 million, now I've discussed the myth. There's going to be a lot of skepticism. Okay, yeah, but we're in Nigeria, and Nigeria has this quote unquote challenge. How do we get there? So here are the challenges that exist. And then we're going to, I'll spend just a minute or two here discussing about how those things have been resolved, and so that we can now go past that and move ahead and move to the next stage. One of them, the challenges, is new investor registration. Getting registered or to be a trade or to invest in the Nigerian ecosystem, truthfully, is unbelievable. It's unnecessary. That's our point. It's unnecessarily difficult. We've done something to resolve that. And there's still a lot more we're going to be doing to make it better. But I believe that the basic thing there is now done. Another one is that funding your accounts. Another one is registration and get dividends. Dividends is especially a nagging issue, and it creates a trust issue within the ecosystem. You're supposed to get your dividend, and somehow it doesn't arrive. The other one is what I call actionable profit-making information. This is where the crypto world and the FX world trash or beat the Nigerian market. There's a lot of information out there, right, that needs to be put more actionable and made easy for investors to gather. So here are the things that we've done so far. One, and this is what the EDIA platform will present to you, both from a sense of enabling the investor and enabling derivatives seamlessly. So there's seamless onboarding process. We've already achieved, and a number of our brokerage customers can now do this, where you can get a CS account number in 1 hour. And we're going to continue to work with the appropriate partners, authorities and stuff, CSS and NGX and the rest of it, to make that process even more seamless and make it better and quicker. There is this memory-assisted registration. It's sort of like an AI thing, where if you start your registration and you come back, everything you put in there, you don't lose it. So it just continues. If you go on the EDIA platform and you try it out, you're going to find the experience is really, really a pleasant experience. It's not that tough experience that you're kind of used to. When it comes to funding, so we've already integrated with all the payment gateways. There's integration with NIBS, and then there's also integration we're doing with banks in order to enable direct payments. Because if you put your money in and you have locked in that your profit, you want to be able to withdraw it easily. That will become seamless without requiring human intervention. Then registrars. Now, registrars is a teething problem. It's definitely a teething problem, and we're really working hard to tackle this. So a number of things we've done so far would be integrating with registrars. We're planning to integrate with what are called willing registrars. It's a complicated problem, but we're solving it. Then people will be able to see their unclaimed dividend and ultimately be able to withdraw it directly. Then the option will also exist for you to be able to reinvest your dividends, so that your money is not just lying there fallow in cash, but your money is actually being put to work for you. Then the other thing that we're really looking hard at, and this is very, very important, is we're market data vendors, right? So we have actionable information that over several years, not just information about the market, but information about currency reserves, our FX reserves. For example, we once did an analysis and we found out that there appeared to be a reasonable correlation between the basket price of OPEC, not just what you see out there, basket price of OPEC and the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And if you plot those two things on top of each other, you find this is a lagging correlation, meaning it's like oil price moves up and then the market starts to move up afterwards. But so what we mean by that is not just provide action, and not just provide information, but we're building into our system algo type trading. So if you, like in India, for example, if you make a trade, it will immediately assist you in creating what we call a profit lock trigger, such that if you say you want to know when that thing is up to 10% or 5% high, so you can sell and get your profit, the system will be the one that does that for you, locks it in, notifies you, and then you can initiate a trade. Further down the road, the system will actually be able to initiate a trade. Then we also have this new technology we're bringing on board to enable these lower volume stocks, because the active stocks, there are fewer, but there are this set of very massive number of stocks that doesn't seem to be active. We understand that problem, really. You might own it, you want to sell it, you can't. So we're going to introduce technology that will enable that to happen, that meets all regulatory requirements. So that will also help now bring in those extra investors. Okay, so what inspired IDEA? I already mentioned IDEA itself. IDEA, the queen mother, the technology, the background behind it. We consider it a renaissance, bringing Nigeria and Africa to the rightful place in the committee of the world. So the platform is built with the user in mind. So this is not a case of there are so many brokers in the market, but you are going to have one interface. You can register with any broker you like, but it's one interface, one seamless approach to being able to do what you want to do without these distractions. It is real time. So we have this WebSocket implementation that allows for real-time information, meaning you're not looking at lagging information, meaning if you are on this platform, you will have exactly the same capabilities. I repeat, the same capabilities as a broker. Nothing more, nothing less. There is no advantage or disadvantage that you're going to suffer with respect to the broker. You are at par, even though the interface is extremely simple. There's a pro mode and then a wizard mode. So depending on your capabilities, you can, and by the way, you're not restricted to either one. You can use either one of them as you so choose. Then it also has this robo advisory capabilities, the trade simulator. And then if you want to, maybe you're still dipping your toes in the water and you don't want to take any risk yet, there's a simulation mode in which you can put the thing in the simulator and you see how it performs before you actually put your money to the test. There's also a watch list where you can create your own, so it's like creating your own private market, your own private ecosystem that you just monitor, so that you don't have to be looking at all 200 or 300 stocks. And by the way, this thing deals with all asset classes. Fixed income, you're covered. Equities, you're covered. ETFs, you're covered. Derivatives, you're covered. Mutual fund, when it gets more integrated into the NGX, you're covered. And then one more thing I'll say that with respect, just so everybody knows, a number of the major fintechs that are out there, the names are known, they actually use the InfoWeb platform. The underlying, our platform, our APIs to do the things that they do, to do all those trading. And I want to assure all fintechs one thing. One of the things we've done, we've really, really worked hard, especially with respect to the derivatives, is that without changing how their applications currently work, actually with no change whatsoever, derivatives will automatically be supported. All the risk management, all the underlying hard stuff will be done. All that will be taken care of. So just seamlessly. So let me show you a quick view of some of these IDEA screenshots. And then I think there will be a poll at some point where anybody that would like a deep dive of this will schedule something and then take them through the real the platform in real time. So this is one of the screens when you log in. So it doesn't matter what broker you log in, the logo of the broker will be up there and you are in, right? Your portfolio is there, and then you see that analyze portfolio. That's the AI assisted thing. It will analyze your portfolio privately. So unlike those things where you see this blast of end of day messages that come up talking, no, this one is about you, strictly about you. When dividends come out, you get news about that dividend, about your stock that you own. When there's corporate action or when a director buys a stock or doesn't sell or sells a stock, you get to know instantly, right? It's personalized to you, so you can take action and you can get to the system and then lock in your profit. So there's basic information. You can be able to deposit funds, you can change your password, you can actually get your contract note yourself. You don't need to call a broker. There's a chat room. So the chat room there with a broker lounge means that you can engage and understand, you see market insights from either your fellow investors or from the brokers themselves, right? There's a watch that I've already mentioned. The trade status is that your trades as they are in the market, you'll be able to see them right there and then. Then this is critical. Now, one of the challenges that this thing solves is that right now, most of the time when you're trading, you're just giving it this, go and buy this. So what this platform does, this platform approaches in a completely different light. What it's doing here is we curate using our AI, artificial intelligence capabilities. We curate and say, okay, here are the best performance on the NGX right now, and provide you with a list that you can trade from. So instead of you trying to go and do a lot of research, like 90% of the work has already been done for you. Meaning, do you want to buy from the top performance? You get a list, may not be more than 5 or 6. So you are right there. You know what the market knows even before the brokers know it. Do you want to buy from the NGX high dividend yield stocks? Do you want to buy the ones with unusual volume? Meaning right there and then, it means something is happening. You understand what I mean? Something is happening right there and then you can plug in and take action on it. So it's personalizable. You can use different themes. The other one is the dark theme, which personally I like. A lot of people like the brighter theme that you're seeing here. So you can change the theme to be anything you like. So this is an example, for example, of a curated list already of those stocks that you can select from. And you select it, and then you can now trade it. Now, in the pro mode, so pro mode tends to be better on the desktop, although you can also have it on mobile. You also have it on mobile. In pro mode, you have a full market view, with information, exactly the bid offers, everything, the whole, if you have this thing is blinking. Like I said, we use WebSocket technology to make this thing happen. So this is bid offers, and with that bar at the top gives you a pictorial visual view of how this Airtel, for example, what it looks like. You can see the bids, and you can also see the market activity on the bottom, on the right hand side, which is the actual trades happening in the market in real time. So now this is an example of some of the personalizations I already mentioned. So you are going to get information, news about your holdings. I don't know how clear this would be if you were to see my screen very clear. You can see your holdings, the things in green or blue there are the stocks you own. And then those ones are the activities, meaning the news, unusual news, trade report that has happened on it. Then there are also the metrics that you're going to get, something like what is your best performing stock in your portfolio? Which one is not doing so well that you probably should sell? When should you rebalance? What's your average portfolio, weighted average portfolio? What's your weighted or your average weighted beta, which measures your risk? Are you carrying more risk than the ASI, or you're carrying less risk? So let me quickly run through this as I'm going to around them about who benefits from this. So this platform actually covers all three major categories here: the investor, the broker, and NGX itself. I've already run through some of these things already, so just quickly, from an investor standpoint, right? The experience. We have to be able to compete. Instead of having 200 broker experiences, you have one unified, seamless, a unified payment platform, investment awareness, being able to celebrate your life milestones, the AI-powered data advisory that comes with it, auto profit loss, dividends, being able to get at your dividends as and when you want it, investment literacy, and then of course making investment fun. For the broker, it's going to save the entire broker ecosystem more than $5 million equivalent. Instead of everybody going to build their own stuff, now we have a unified system. It's going to encourage also fintechs to participate in the market, and brokers can now effectively also work and or compete with fintechs without being disadvantaged. So this brings them up to par instantly with little to no cost. Then for NGX, we can now achieve that liquidity that we need. And by the way, so I mean, some people may have thought about it. It's okay, the existing set of companies listed is not enough. See, it's a catch-22. If we bring these investors to the market and bring this liquidity, then more companies will be willing to list. That's the key there. So for NGX and everybody, it's going to be massively beneficial. There will be a race now to list because the investors are there that will result in the right kind of valuation that people want. So InfoWays, as a leader in this ecosystem, and we are truly trying to take our place in it and bring to the fore the technology that we have as a platform that's being used by all the top brokers in the country. Use our platform. All the top fintechs already use our platform. So we're taking a leadership position to really drive this and drive the Nigerian economy and then drive prosperity. I repeat, drive prosperity across the entire Nigerian ecosystem from a perspective of financial inclusion in a way that's mutually beneficial across the entire ecosystem. So that's what this is really about. So with that, I'm going to hand it over back to Sandra. And then my colleague Wale will be coming up shortly to show you a detailed overview of exactly how the back end of this thing all works, So thank you very much for taking the time and the patience to attend this event. Thank you very much. Sandra.
Okay, thank you so much, Uwa. That was an insightful session. So I personally took out some notes when you were explaining, and when you were mentioning about the IDEA trader, you mentioned that it is very, very simple, flexible, and it's AI powered. And also it's real-time, it's connected to real-time market data. So I'll quickly take one of the questions from the Q&A session, and it's saying that what will be required of individuals and firms who intend to trade derivatives? So what will be required of individuals and firms who intend to trade derivatives?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted there. Okay, thanks for the question, Sandra, and thanks for the audience that's asking the question. So what will be required of firms? So right now, from an InfoWare standpoint, right? So firms may either have a proprietary account through which they themselves are trading derivatives, or they are offering it to their customers, or both. So from offering it to their customers, our customers will literally need to do nothing. We just deploy the solution. The risk management will be embedded. The same kind of rules that we've already have in place where account can go into debit. I mean, derivatives has risk factors involved because of the way movement in prices can change things very radically. So we work very closely with the NGX to implement all of these things. And so essentially from a firm broker standpoint, in terms of managing your risk, the system will just handle that seamlessly. The broker really doesn't have to sweat it. You just, even if you don't understand the derivatives, as long as you expose it to your own customers to you, you're fine. Now, from the perspective now of the firm, say asset managers, pension funds and stuff like that, derivatives is an indispensable tool. It's really indispensable. The simplest way I can tell a pension fund manager or an asset manager right now is fine, use it as insurance, even if you are not using it directly from even enhancing your portfolio. It's a way to hedge against your holdings falling deeply in price, or market dips or stuff like that. You just hedge, you use it as a hedging tool. That's a major way. So that could solve the issue that pension funds have about trading or being engaged in the equity market. Now, from the regular, I'll call it small trader guy, right? Derivatives are a massive opportunity. Instead of trading crypto, go to derivatives. Because with a small amount of money, you can use, instead of you buying, let's assume you needed 20 million to buy a certain stock. With derivatives, you can potentially use something like 50,000 to 100,000 to control something like 50 million worth of stock. And you still get the benefit of the differential. It's more risky, agreed. But if you know what you're doing, you can make a heck of a lot more money with a small amount of capital. And of course, there's also margin that goes along with it. So I hope I've answered that question across the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Uwa. So that brings us to the next panelist. That brings us to the next presenter. I'll quickly introduce my colleague, Mr. Babagbemi Wale. He is the senior consultant and back office implementation manager in InfoWare. So Wale will be taking us through a demo session of the IDEA trader and how InfoWare has been able to curve to scale its application. Mr. Wale, please kindly confirm you are ready for us.
Yes, good morning, Sandra.
Good morning.
Can I share my screen, please?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Sorry, I can't at the moment. Please, can the last presenter? Okay, thank you. Good day, everyone. My name is Omowale Babagbemi. I'm the senior technical manager for implementation and support. Today we'll be looking at how you trade derivatives using the eForware EOMS platform. And here's the agenda we have today to walk you through briefly some of the important things around trading participant management and configuring the approved derivative margin, basically what has been approved by the NG Clear, and on the system, how do you manage the trade request when you're booking, and how to trade the futures contract on the platform, and also the viewing of the trade report. So these are things we'll be looking at briefly in the next couple of minutes. We'll try and make use of time, and then we'll take your question and to answer some of these things. So without further ado, how we're going into the system right now to show you how these things are being performed quickly. And so derivatives is a very important thing for both sides. We're going to look at it from you as a trading license member and also as a client. You know, as mentioned earlier in the presentation, derivative is an instrument that is used for hedging by fund managers. So fund managers use it, or anybody that has an investment portfolio and they decide to use the derivative instrument. So it has a lot of advantage, and one of the advantage it also has is ability for you to, trade with a bigger lot size position using margin. You're using a little margin and you're opening a position. So for example, you're opening a position of ₦1,000,000, but you're putting 100,000 naira now. So this allows you to be able to, gain profit based on the market dynamics. So all of these are operations that InfoWare platform EOMS has taken care of and has, creating a platform for it to be managed. Now, this is just going to show a snippet of the capabilities, and we can have further session later on with you individually to walk you through. So I'll go into the system and quickly show you some of this setup that has been built backend to support trading derivatives contract. Okay, so here we have the InfoWare platform where you have the management. So first thing we need to check is first thing we mentioned is trading participant management. So why is this trading participant, important in the scheme of things? So according to the rules of the NGX and NGCL, trading account number must be registered with NGCL before they can trade derivatives, right? And you're not expected to trade derivatives. So you can have an account to trade the equity market, but you're not supposed to trade the derivatives market if you're not registered for it, because there has to be a proper collateralization that needs to be set up for each of this margin. So as a result of this, there's a need to have margin, because if there's anybody that trades the derivative without being registered, there's a penalty that could apply to that firm. But in order to ensure that this doesn't apply, the system has put in control to ensure that you only trade for registered account number. So I will show you this when I get to the trading portion of the system. So how do we set up participant management? So I'm going to use this as an example where I'm going to let's use my sample customer, which I have registered. So this is a firm, Apex Asset Management. They have derivative fund 1, like an example fund, and they are going to be using this. They've registered, they've indicated interest. So if you're an asset management firm, you probably have to speak with your trading member, which is the broker, indicating your interest to trade derivatives, right? And then you register your existing trading account number with them, and once it's registered, then you can now be eligible. So now once you register and you come back, now there's a need to inform the trading license member now needs to configure. So let's just show you a snippet of what is done at the back end. So at the back end, you have there are two configurations which technically are done. One to manage the accounting, and the other one is for control, the trading engine control, to ensure that you can't even trade if you're not registered. So I'm going to show you the two. So first thing is what we call the involvement. So within the system, there's what we call a derivative trading involvement that's going to tell, apart from you trading the stocks and security, tells the system that you can now trade, this involved, you're not involved in trading derivatives. That's one. Then that is to manage the accounting, right? So if you look at it, that manages the accounting side of things. Now, the other part of it is also where you have, what is the participant. So as a participant, I've been registered, right? So you have the list where you can see registered, trading, account number. So this is just an example of that. So if I want this, I can just overlook it. So that is the one aspect of the configuration. So now this is the setup where you now have, trading something. Now with this right now, when we get to the trade module, I'm going to show you some of this. By the time we get to the trade, you're going to see how this plays out. And I'm going to show you the quick difference to show you how this has been properly managed when we get to the trade request management. So also the next part which is on the agenda is how do you configure what we call margin? Now, one of the peculiarities around margin trading futures contract is, like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to put everything down, right, to trade. So in the regular equity market, for example, if I want to buy 1 million worth of shares, I have to put 1 million naira down to trade 1 million naira shares, right? But in derivatives futures contract, there's what we call the concept of margin. So the margin is you don't have to put all the cash down to trade. So you only need to put a portion of it down, which is called the margin required, and then you can open the position. So how do you manage it? So these are things that comes on a daily basis from NG clearing, and then you capture this. Now this is where you capture it. You can see this derivative securities contract, which I'm going to trade shortly, and you can see some of this information here where you have them. If you're going long, right? So imagine these are things you need to get. You're going long means that you believe the price will go up. If you're going short, you believe the price will go down, and these are margin that you require. So this is where you set up all the margin configuration. It's something that will be done daily, but this is where you set it up. And then internally, the system will use that to do its own analysis when it does its own computation when you're about, trading it. So next on the agenda quickly, we go to putting in a trade request, managing trade requests. Initially I informed you about managing trade requests. How do you manage trade requests? Using this the platform. So previously this is what we had back in the days. I mean, not sorry, I mentioned back. This is what we had for the cash equity market. So I'm thinking derivative is the future. You get the point. So you have the cash market. Now, if I click here and I click on search, right? Now, what you're going to observe is that you're going to see that several thousands of customers are listed. Now, it means that this is the regular customer that you have. Now, because we now have this specifically designed for derivative, which you call the job derivatives. Now, what this does is that it's now limited. So look at what happens. If I click on search, I only have one. Now, what this means is that as a trading license member, you can actually be absolutely sure that you're not going to violate the rules set by the NG Clear that you shouldn't trade for somebody that has not been registered, right? So this is the number one control. So you see how the participant management ties into the trade request. So this now, I'm absolutely sure that I cannot run foul of that rules and regulation that have been set. So now that's been taken care of. Now let's manage trade requests, and let's put in some orders and let's things. So when you're doing this, the system will calculate your margin. All of those estimates will be done, and you don't have to. So these are configuration. I wouldn't want to bore you with those configuration, but it's been done. So I'm just imagining a customer wants to buy a derivative contract of NGX 30H2, and is only interested. Now, what you're looking at also is that nearly you type the stock code. Now, in the concept of trading derivative, there's what you call net position, right? So the net position is that as you're shorting and you're buying or selling, you would have a net position. So in this case, the system is telling me that I have a short position of minus 10, right? What this means is that I'm shorting more in the market. So I could try to close part of my holdings and a part of my position and probably bring it down. So right now I want to go long so that I can just have. So maybe let's just, for purpose of this stuff, let's just say we are buying 2 contracts just to do that. Now the thing is, if you look at this numbers, right, there's what you call the notional value. So the notional value is the value of the trade. So if you look at this notional value, it's telling me this is the value of the trade, and then you have the margin and then the price and everything. So in this case, for example, I'm just going to say, you know what, let's just do one contract just to keep the cost down, look at it. So now you look at the notional value and then you get this to tell you what it is. And then you can also have a view of your pending trades if you have pending trades that have not. So I have pending derivative contract trades that have not been, that have not been executed, that's in the market and all of those things. So if I have this, then I click on save, right? So I just entered this, right? Then let's just say, for example, NGX Bank, let's say NGX BNKZ1, we want to short it by, 1 unit, and then we click on sell. You can say we want to increase our short position. So the system is showing that I have a net short position of -3. So I want to increase my short position. So I click on save. So now this is the system allowing you to do the taking long and short position. The regular cash equity market, you have the portfolio. You can't sell what you don't have in the equity market, but this in the derivative market, you have what we concept of short, which is like selling what you don't have. You understand? So the system knows when you select based on this contract, the system is aware that you're about to take a trade and is a short position, and it bypasses the need to check your portfolio holdings. Now, the same system also keeps track of the equity market, but the different rules applies to this derivative. Now, with this said, now the next thing for us now is to now trade it. So to trade it, we have what we call the professional trading platform, which is meant for dealers. So you click on the professional. We have the online portal, but this is to just the back office trading platform. I think for those of you that use the InfoWare platform, you're already familiar with this platform already. So I'm going to click connect. So I'm connecting to NGX right now to have put in the trade. As you can see, these are my trades that are loaded here on the screen. As you can see, these are all my trade. I just put in these 2. And I can get, so one thing also is that you can also view the market for other derivatives. So for example, to view the market, you click on what we call the market watch. So with the market watch, you get to see the data around the derivatives. Okay, so with this, you get to see it's loading. So I get to see the market data. So when you have the market data, there's a board which is specifically designed to inform you about the index futures. So there are quite a number of derivatives. The derivative that we currently have is the one we have we call the index futures. So with this, you have the live information about the index futures and which one you want to trade, which one is on bid. And these are all market information that you can make use of while trying to take your trades and in the derivative contract. So with that, I already know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to, so I don't have the access to trade this now. So it's a control process, which is like if you're a dealer and you're not supposed to do it, the system does. So I'm going to switch now to my trading account trading profile to be able to do this in a minute. So now you look at the orders, for example, now, and then you want to match the order. So right now, there's a corresponding bid in the market. So I can just, show submit my own bid and then put in at a limit price. So I can join the price the person was. So you have the price displayed here, which is, let's say, 350. and then let's say 355, and I, place your order. So you can see my order right here in the market. Now, if I want to buy this, for example, I can join this and then buy as much as possible. So this is like 1 unit of it, of this particular security. So I can click here, and then I can click here and, place the order. So, and my order has been filled. Then I have it. So I just traded derivative contracts right now, which has currently on the system. And then this is already been, traded. And this is some of the reports that you can generate just to see. There are quite a number of reports, but some of it are just for you to see your, your contract overview and what it is. So let's just show you quickly. So I have all my field. So I have all my field, contracts. So these are all my derivative contracts, for the day. So these are some of the reports, and there are quite a number of reports that you're going to be able to, generate from the system to do all of those analysis and checks and everything. Contract notes, you're going to get contract notes. Also, there will also be what we call the daily mark to market, where you can, check your report. So, for example, we have the, mark to market. So, for example, if I want like evaluation, so let's just pick something, portfolio valuation. So we have the portfolio valuation. Okay, so just a second, I need to get the ID. So this is just an example of a report that shows the mark to market, but you're going to have like a mark to market report. So I have the market price, the market value, the unrealized gain or loss, on that position. So all your positions are basically mark to market, and then every day you get to know what your, gain or loss is from these transactions, right? Okay, so that's pretty much it on trading derivatives using the InfoWare EOMS. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you so much, Wally. That was pretty like an overview of the derivative trading. So we have some questions on the Q&A. I will just quickly ask them. Please, there's a poll that is up. Can they help us attend to that so that we'll be able to measure the survey and determine the health of what we are sending to you? So Wale, from the Q&A, we have a question, and it's saying that what is the margin? What is margin, and why is it necessary for trading futures? What is margin, and why is it necessary for trading futures?
Okay, thank you very much, Sandra. So one of the margin is, let me use a simple term that we are familiar with. Margin is more like a collateral, right? So it's like, okay, I want to give you ₦1,000,000, right? And I'm saying that, okay, for me to know that you're serious and you're capable of paying back that ₦1,000,000, you're going to put down 100,000 naira, right, in good faith. So which is 10% of the value I'm about to give to you. So one of the advantage derivative has is that it allows you to trade more value than what you potentially have. So in equity market, for example, I have to put the entire 1 million down for me to trade it. But in derivatives, you don't have to put the entire 1 million down. You only have to put a portion of it, which is the collateral that you're putting down. And the essence of this collateral is that as the daily gain or loss is applied to that 1 million position that you have open, your margin account is responsible for, responding to those prices. So for example, you make a loss of, let's say you open 1 million, you have a loss of say 10,000 naira, right? Then it means the 10,000 naira is applied to your margin account. So you don't have to, because you look at derivative is like you're getting a value, but you don't, the name derive is deriving a value from something. So you're not paying in entirety for the value of that thing, but you're only, taking a position in that particular security. So in simple terms, the margin is like a collateral you're putting down, and that is used to, adjust to the market price or changes in the derivative markets. I hope that clarifies.
Okay, thank you so much, Wale, for that answer. I think I'll quickly take this one more while Terry Ozako, who is our next presenter, would actually prepare to take us through the IDEA trader, give us like an insight and deep insight of the IDEA trader. So the last question for now for Wale is, how will the exchange traded derivative ETDs be settled? Like, how will the exchange traded derivatives be settled?
Okay, so let me just try from, so the way it's going to be settled, the method that's been adopted by NGC and AGX is what we call the daily mark to market, right? So I want to just give a parallel to the regular equity market that all of us are already familiar with. We have this concept of T+3, whereby if you're buying as equity, you have to settle T+3, and also you have T+2 for bonds. Now for derivative, the concept is going to be the daily mark to market, right? Which is like daily settlement. So let's assume like I took a position in the morning to go long on a particular derivatives. By end of day, if I'm right, so the thing is a zero-sum game, which is that every day there's always one winner, there's a loser, right? So if you're winning, somebody's losing. If you're losing, somebody's winning. So every day there will be like a net position, and then I get the settlement. So, and that is the reason why you have this margin account you have to have, because the settlement is daily, and by end of day you get all your settlement. So the way it's going to work is that as a client, you're dealing with your trading member. Your trading member will deal with their clearing members, which will be responsible, and the clearing member and NGCL will be responsible for ensuring that everybody gets settled at the end of the day. So that is going to be the workflow for settling derivatives transactions.
Thank you so much, Wale, for that insightful session. Thank you so much. So I would like to call up the next speaker, the next presenter, Terry Bank Ozakbo. Terry Banks is the head of sales and business development in Infoware. Is well, I like to call him the man with the numbers. If you need the numbers, Terry is the go-to person. He has over 7 years experience in this industry. Terry, please confirm if you are ready for us.
Thank you, Sandra, for calling me the man with the numbers. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening impatiently. I'm going to play a quick video for you. Sandra, you'd have to hold on with this poll. I'll play a 1 minute video for you, and the video shows snippets of the best mobile trading platform in the Nigerian capital market. Now, after watching the video for just a minute, and I'll come back, and then we'll respond to that poll. Just bear with me. So, welcome back. Our goal for IDEA is to bring the market to you. Now, if you are a broker on this platform, I'd like to ask you, do you want to be featured on IDEA? If the answer is yes, just click on yes. You have a poll on your screen right now. And then if the answer is no, if you're not a trader and a broker, you don't need to do that. And then we would reach out to you. For all those who would signify yes, we'll reach out to you and take you through the onboarding process. And then in the coming weeks, IDEA will be live on Google Play Store and Apple App Store. Thank you very much. Sandra, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Terry. That was quite a video. And please, like you mentioned, kindly make use of the poll that we currently have displaying on your screen. So it's time for the Q&A session. Before I call on the last panelist to give a closing remark, we are trying to keep to time because we know a lot of us have other things to attend to. Okay, so the first one is it's saying that, is it possible to lose all your money? I think this is directed to Mr. Uwagbonile. Is it possible to lose all your money? Because I know it's not possible to lose all your shares at a glance like forex market. So this person is saying that, is it possible to lose all your money at a glance?
Hello. Yeah. So the answer is that it's all about risk management. In anything at all, it's possible to lose everything, even with shares. I mean, your shares could effectively go down to zero, or if the company goes bankrupt, you can completely lose 100% of everything that you own. So the key here is risk management, whether it's shares or derivatives. And the way the system handles it is that when your margin is getting close, you get notified prior, or when you need to, before a margin call occurs, you get to be notified prior. So the smart thing to do then is to close your position so that you minimize your losses, similar to shares in that regard. So I hope I've answered that question.
Okay, yes, I think you did. So for you, yes, Mr. Uwa, we have, I think, 2 more questions, or we'll take a question. So how can investors keep abreast of the market information being disseminated in the exchange? How can investors keep abreast of the market information that is literally everywhere?
Okay, the platform will make sure you are kept abreast. In the screenshots, some of the screenshots that I showed, and then for people that are interested, we can always do a more deep dive and actually show, because it's just a 1-hour session, right, and to cover a whole lot. So we can focus on IDEA itself. So even right now, you can download the InfoWare Finance mobile app, and you are going to be kept abreast when critical things happen in the market, like unusual volume that I mentioned, corporate disclosures, dividends. You are notified instantly, usually at worst less than 5 minutes after it hits the market. Before you probably know, even before other brokers know it. So the IDEA platform is not just a case of trading. So 3 components of it: there's the trading and investing and making sure you can keep the money that you make. 2, there's information, letting you see the information as to what's going on. And then 3, critically, sending you the information that you need, right? And providing you a first-class upfront and advantage over the entire ecosystem so that you can take action and make sure that you're locking your profits.
Okay, that's the last question for you, Mr. Uwa. Thank you so much for taking our time for this presentation. So, Mr. Wale, this is for you. And the question is, what are the trading hours for derivatives? What are the trading hours for derivatives?
All right, thanks,
what are the trading hours for derivative markets, really?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Sandra. Okay, the derivative market operates within the regular trading hours on the NGX. So it's still the same regular trading hours. That's for 9:30 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Just the same regular trading hours. That's online.
Okay, and the last question is, can an individual trade derivative without a broker?
No, you have to trade through a trading license member with the NGX for derivatives. So you have to pass through one of them.
But I'll add to that answer and say, yes, you have to go through a broker. But one of the key things that this EDR platform does is to make that process seamless. So that once you've registered, quote unquote, right? It's like opening a bank account. Once you've opened that account, your activities are entirely yours to do. You're going to have the same power and capabilities of a broker without having to really deal with a broker. Just by regulation, all trades have to pass through a broker. You know what I mean? Just like in the financial system, there are banks. So in the investment area, in the what's called the sell side, there are brokers that engage, that are regulated, heavily regulated by the SEC.
Okay. Thank you so much, Uwa. Thank you, Wale. Before we finally wrap up this session, please, a survey will be sent to you immediately after this webinar session. Kindly help us to just click either yes or no. Then if you also would require a private session on how the derivative market works, if you want to know about the VAR, you want to have a deep insight into the EDR trader, please kindly use this survey. So I think I'll call up Terry Ozako once again to give us his closing remark. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandra. And thank you to all of you that attended this webinar. The turnout was actually great. We thank you for your questions. We at InfoWare here, we always position ourselves as your value-adding partner that gives you the kind of service you deserve. Feel free to reach out to us if you have more questions. We'll answer them. And then if you need any resources, just reach out to us and definitely we'll send it back. We'll send you anything you really need from us. Thank you very much. Till our next webinar, we'll implore you to stay safe, stay strong, and stay profitable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Terry, for that. I think Uwa would like to give a vote of thanks also.
Yes. So I mean the participation was actually exceeded our expectations. We have hundreds of people on the meeting. So I want to thank everybody for taking time to come. I hope we've been able to demystify derivatives, and I hope people that attended have felt a little bit more comfort. And from the entire ecosystem, whether it's the asset managers, the buy side, the sell side, or the regular investors, please feel free to engage with us. We'll be happy to provide more additional information. I know it was just a quick short 1 hour, and the content and everything that here ideally would have taken even far longer, but we didn't want to take so much time. So we'll be happy to engage with everybody to irrespective regulators, investors and whatnot, to provide further deep dives. The goal is a mutually beneficial ecosystem for everybody to bring in these next 2 million investors into our ecosystem. Thank you very much for attending, and have a very nice and pleasant day ahead.
Thank you so much, Uwa. Thank you, everybody, once again. Please do stay safe while you are working. Bye for now.